When people ask me what the reason is that I wrote my book about occupational therapy, the book was actually requested by a couple of parents of children I was working with at the time. And some of them were the parents of children who had visual difficulty. Um, some had low vision, some were blind completely, and they were so impressed by their experiences and found the outings that we went on and some of the details and the experiences that the parents were having in participating in the occupational therapy session was so beneficial that they requested that I write a book to help parents to know what it is that could be of benefit for them, what occupational therapy is, that they could know to request a referral for occupational therapy or to seek out occupational therapy, and also to know a little bit of some things that they could do themselves in their homes when interacting with their child that would help them in their relationship with their child, in their child's development, and everything about being the parent of a child who has visual difficulty. So that's a little bit about how I came to write the book. And I thought in this video I'd share 10 tips of practical ways that you as parents, if you have a child who's experiencing any visual difficulty, 10 things that are of benefit for you to do. Some of them you might need more guidance or to be taught certain things. Some of them you could do on your own. This video is not to replace occupational therapy or any intervention. It's purely to give you some information, some tips that can help you so that you are a little bit equipped. You know what to ask for, you know what to search out, and being the parent of a visually impaired child won't be quite as daunting as an experience as it has been for some of the parents of children that I've worked with in the past. So before I get into the video, my name is Shoshana Shea. I'm the author of the book Healing Your Life Through Activity. I've been an occupational therapist for over 30 years now, and I'm also an artist. I have some other books that I'm creating, some other products that I'm creating, and sharing information on this channel is one of the things I do. So if that's of interest to you, do subscribe to the channel, click that like button if you enjoy the video, and give me a comment to let me know what it is that you've enjoyed, what's questions you have, what's been of benefit for you. If you do purchase that book, you'll see it coming up on the screen, Healing Your Life Through Activity. At the end of the book, there's a list of all the occupational therapy associations around the world, as many of the occupational therapy associations as I could find online. There's a list of them, so if you're not sure about occupational therapy, you want to find out more information, or you want to find an occupational therapist in your area, what is the referral process, if you can just turn to a therapist yourself, and all the details of what to do, you can find information about those associations at the end of my book. And otherwise, you're welcome to be in touch with me. I don't guarantee finding you an occupational therapist. I work, or I have been working with people here in Israel. I don't work so much in person any longer. I'm more focusing on my books and my products and other things that I'm creating, and these videos, of course. But you're welcome to send me an email, and if I'm able to assist, I'll be happy to do so. So let's get on to the 10 tips that could be of benefit to you. Tip number 1 is to keep in mind that somebody who has visual difficulty or who's blind completely, although they've lost their vision, the other senses are extremely important and heightened quite often. So you can use those senses. It's not only an although, you need to train those senses because they're going to be taking over to help your child to function. And in doing so, you'll be gaining an aspect to a relationship with your child that's quite different. It's actually can be a very enjoyable and a tremendous learning and growth experience for any adult who's interacting with somebody who has visual impairment. During these 10 tips, I might share 1 or 2 stories, but the first thing is to be aware of those other senses and to use them as much as you can. So the tip number 1 would be related to hearing, and that is to talk to your child or even to sing to your child. If you have a request for your child to do something, I used to quite often sing with some of the children, something like, these legs are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these legs are going to whatever you can fit in, whether they're walking to the zoo or they're walking just for you, or make it a bit fun, come up with some words of your own. Use song as much as you can, because it's easier for the ear and it makes it enjoyable. But talk to your child. So a quick example would be when if we're walking along, using that same activity, since we were just talking about legs made for walking. If you're walking along and you're walking on a paved surface, or you're walking on tiles, you're going to be able to see what it is you're walking on. But a child who's blind is not going to be seeing that. They're going to rely on, firstly, the experience, the sensory experience of their foot on a solid surface. That's experience number 1. And number 2 would be they're going to rely on you to tell them what that solid surface is. So you could tell them that tiles might be shiny, they could be slippery, be careful not to fall. That kind of information is important. Explain to them what grass is, explain to them what sand is. So talk to them all the time, tell them what this experience is. If they're in an area where it's hygienic and safe for them to do so, take off their shoes and allow them to feel the grass underneath the soles of their feet, or the sand. Let them feel the sand with their hands. Let them feel the water on their feet. Talk to them even from when they're little babies. Get into the habit of talking to them. You're going to gain a tremendous amount, and they will also, and you'll be helping them through their hearing to be able to access the world around them and to experience and to know what it is, what this world is. So you're going to be reducing the fear of where they are. Help them to also use their sense of touch to feel things. We mentioned feeling the grass underneath their feet. Help them to feel also surfaces. Be very careful that your environment is going to be set up in such a way that the things that they'll be feeling, it'll be safe for them to be feeling. So you're going to have to be a lot more organized than any other parent would be. Be very careful to put away sharp items. Obviously a knife or something that a child who's blind and can't see, and they're wanting to experience and know what this item is, they're at risk of hurting themselves. So keep those knives out of the way, keep the pairs of scissors out of the way, a razor blade, any of those sharp instruments. It's going to be extremely important. This is tip number 2, is to be organized. Being organized is partly from a safety point of view, but partly because as your child grows and they start to get to know their environment, they're going to be relying on their memory and the feel of where items are. So if you've taught them that this cupboard is the grocery cupboard and this item is a tin, or this item is a packet, or whatever you're explaining to them, they're going to need to know exactly this shape tin in this position is going to be X, related to helping to your child to know what's in their environment. Once you get to work with an occupational therapist, you might also need a mobility instructor. There are a whole team that's required in helping you to enable your child to develop and to grow. But something that's important is not only to be organized and let them know sizes and shapes and textures, but to put other textures or markers on so that somebody would know If they can't read a label that this tin is mushrooms, they're going to need to have a different kind of marker. Obviously, a tiny baby is not going to be opening a tin of mushrooms, but as they get older, they might need to be more involved in what you're doing in the home. And yes, children can learn all sorts of activities, even in the kitchen. So the toys and the games that you're going to be purchasing and playing with your child who has a visual impairment, it's going to be very important that sound is included. If you're wanting to do ball skills with your child, for example, the way that you would do so is to purchase a ball that has a bell inside it. If you're unable to find those toys, some of the toys, actually, interesting place where you'd find them is in a pet shop. Go and have a look at some of the different textured balls that they have, and you can purchase a few different ones. They have smooth ones, they have textures, bubbles on the indentations on the balls, soft ones, material ones, and a lot of those have bells inside, which is fun for an animal, for a dog to play with, but it's beneficial for your child because they're then going to be able to interact in a ball game with you by playing with a ball that has a bell inside, and that would give them the sound that they would know. If you would, for example, sit on the floor and put your legs out as the ball knocks against your leg, they'd hear that sound, and then you'd be able to say something to them, or say thank you, or I received the ball, and clap, and then roll the ball back to them. That's a nice indication for them that they're going to be able to play with the ball, just like any other child would. So games are not going to be an impossibility, but you're going to have to find an adapted version that will suit your child. Something like dominoes, what you would need is a tactile version, not something with a picture on, but something that's tactile, that they can feel either raised dots or sunken in dots, different ways that they can feel. You could also make up certain games. Memory cards, for example, wouldn't be a picture. You'd need to have something that's tactile that they can feel to be able to match up the same kind of item. Obviously, memory cards would be for a slightly older child, not for a baby, but an activity that's really great for you to be doing with your baby right from the beginning, when baby is newly born, is baby massage, massaging your baby. It's important for their skin. It's important for you to get to know your baby, for them to have that integration, sensory integration, that tactile stimulation. There are all sorts of benefits that they'll gain from infant massage. If you're looking for a good infant massage instructor, some occupational therapists are trained to teach parents how to massage their babies, but another good resource would be the International Association for Infant Massage, where you can find chapters all around the world of women that are mostly women, as far as I know, who are learning how to teach parents to massage their baby. That's a great way to be able to stimulate and to assist your baby to develop a bonding with you and your child, and also to help your child in so many different ways, especially to know boundaries and to get to know their body. Again, coming back to talking to your child. If you are massaging, you're going to learn this from an infant massage instructor anyway, but a good tip for anything that you do with your child is tell them what you're doing. So if you're massaging the foot and then you move to the leg, you would explain that to the child. Now we're massaging your foot, now we're massaging the toes, now we move to the leg. All the different details are going to be so important for you to explain to the child, and that's how they develop and how they grow. The next tip that I have for you is to take your child with you wherever it is that you're going, and again, allow them to be a part of the experience. So if you're going shopping, if it's appropriate and where it's appropriate, allow them to feel the items on the shelves, or allow them to hear the different sounds. Explain to them as much as you can about what this particular store is. What are the differences that they will be experiencing? The lights might not be they might not be able to see the lights, but some of the lights have a warmth or a vibration. Some lights have a little bit of a humming. So they might be very, very sensitive and hear that humming and wonder what it is. And you can explain to them that's the noise that goes with whatever kind of lights are in the particular place that you go to. As I say, all of their senses are going to become so much more sensitive, so much more refined, and become a very valuable way that they interact with the outside world. So that's a tip, is to take your child with you, not to be embarrassed and not to leave your child at home. I have come across some parents of blind children who, because of the fact that they didn't know how to explain to their child what this new environment was, they would leave their child at home, hopefully with a babysitter or somebody who would take care of the child, but they would leave the child at home. Please don't do that. Take your child with you, because the more that the child is allowed to experience different events, different places, different situations, different people, the more that they will be able to grow and to develop. As you go to various places, choose also certain places that would be interesting for the child, not only a supermarket, but you could have them some ideas of some outings that I took some children on were, we went on different types of transportation. So I took some of the children on the train, and we allowed them to feel not only the carriage that they were in, but to take them to the section where the driver is and allow them to feel the driver's side, to get to meet the driver. That was a fun experience for the child, but also a learning experience for the driver. So don't forget that every interaction, as much as it helps your child, it could be helping other people as well. Another thing that we did was to help them to go on a bus, to help them to feel the different types of transportation, of locomotives, feel the bicycle, feel the car, feel the bus, let them know the different sizes, let them know the different sounds, and so they'll be gaining and learning and adding to their repertoire of what these sounds are that are around them. Somewhere else aside from supermarkets, I've taken children to the beach, to various different, when I used to live in South Africa especially, take them and help them to feel those rock pools. Don't just walk along the rocks, tell them what the rocks are, let them feel the rocks, feel the water, feel the different shells, feel the sand. All of these experiences are tremendously important for them. And as a slight insight as to the extent of the associations and the awareness that a child would have, one of the children, when I put his hand into a rock pool, his response was to say, and to mention the name of a certain washing powder. I'm not going to mention the brand name, that's not important, but he made that association that the water in the rock pool had a kind of a slimy, soapy feel, and so he associated it with washing powder or with his mother doing washing. So those are kinds of things that your child might pick up. It might give you a different awareness to the world that's around us. Take your child with you, introduce them to different experiences. Next tip related to outings is network and be resourceful as to what opportunities are out there. Another place that I took some of the children to is to the rehearsals of the music students. They always have a rehearsal for if they're going to be doing a concert or something, they get together, and they were quite happy to have the child with parents or with a sibling sitting and listening, and afterwards to be able to feel those instruments and to hear the different sound. So a wind instrument and what that sounds like, what the instrument feels like, a string instrument, what it feels like, what it sounds like. And that, again, that was a good experience both for the child, for the parents or the family, and for the students that were involved in that experience. So take your child out with you, network and find what free resources are out there. You'd be surprised as to who might be prepared to assist you in helping your child. The next tip that I have for you related to research is get to know adults who've adjusted well and who've become functioning members of society, and ask them what tips would they give to help your child in planning and preparing and developing throughout their life. So whether it's in learning Braille, whether it's in learning technology, whatever they could give you, it becomes a motivator for you to be able to know the potential that somebody who has a visual problem, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be institutionalized, God forbid, but they have potential to integrate and to be functioning members of society. So get to know that early on and do your networking. You might find on YouTube there are a couple of people who have visual impairment or who are blind who have their own YouTube channel. You might be able to network with them and follow and find out what it is that they're doing. When I used to take parents to meet those people who were involved, who were working, although they were blind, they were working and productive members of society, the parents found that opportunity and that experience was tremendously beneficial to them. So once again, your research is going to be important for you. The next tip that I would have for you, the research that you do will help you with the next tip, and that is to be positive and to believe in your child and believe that your child has the ability to function and to be a well-adjusted child and to develop in a healthy manner. And related to that would be to give positive words and positive reinforcement to your child, to help them to know that even though they've been born with this particular disability, it doesn't mean that they have to be locked up or closed away from the world. They already have a partition, a barrier in their visual difficulty, but the other senses can take over and allow them to experience the world and to be a part of the world and to enjoy and to develop. And you can help them in so many, many ways by having that positive attitude and giving them the encouragement, whether you're telling them you believe in them, whether you're giving them positive reinforcement, all of these things are extremely important. So those are tips that I have for you. I hope that this has been beneficial, that you've gained from the few ideas that I've shared, and I hope that it's also been a sort of a follow-on from those parents who wanted me to share, that they would know, or the parents would know, what kinds of opportunities and what is available for them, what is it that they could do with their child. It just so happens that some parents, sadly, some parents, when they hear that a child is born with a certain disability, out of fear or out of ignorance or not, or perhaps guilt, sometimes if a mother had whatever problem, either during pregnancy or an infection or a complication during the childbirth that resulted in a deficit to the child, it's a natural tendency that a parent might feel guilty and not know how to interact with their child. So I want to encourage you that instead of bottling up that emotion and letting that get in the way, rather learn what you need to be able to enjoy doing what you can to help to guide your child and to parent your child through their life. There's so many ways that can be of benefit, so many ways that you can grow and get to know the world around you in a completely different way. I want to say, and forgive me if you're visually impaired and you don't like this, but it's something that I felt very, very often, that I started to learn about the world through the eyes of the visually impaired in a completely more colorful, more beautiful way. Sometimes the interactions that I had with some of the children, the responses that they had, the way that they would be able to pick up and know that just from somebody's footsteps that was X person coming towards them, or to the associations, the sense of humor, the kinds of comments that they made. You really can learn and grow so many ways by interacting with children who have various special needs. and in this case, the visually impaired. So I hope this video has been of benefit for you. Once again, this video does not replace any therapy or any intervention. Rather, it's to encourage you to seek out services, get to know the associations for the visually impaired and what it is that they offer, get to know about service dogs or those services using animal assisted therapy, because that's also a benefit to children with visual impairment. And I encourage you to reach out to ask your doctor for a referral to occupational therapy and to the various associations. And I wish you a lot of, in Hebrew we'd say a lot of hatzlacha, a lot of success, a lot of blessing, a lot of nachas, a lot of that you would gain and receive joy, and it'll be rewarding for you to have your experience of working with and helping and guiding your child who has whatever their impairment is. And if you have any questions, please put a question or a comment in the comments below. I'll be sure to read those comments, and I do respond to all of them. And I wish you all the best. This is Shoshana Shea coming to you from Jerusalem. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. You'll see at the end of this video, you'll see an image again of my book that might be of benefit and give you some other ideas and tips. And with that, I wish you a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Ciao for now.